he talks a lot about one of the core principles is domesticating your emotions too in this book.
What does he mean by that though?
So what I really liked about this is that, and it was a little light bulb moment for me, is he's kind of like, well, don't deny your emotions, feel them, have the feeling, recognize them and give them the space, but then decide if they're helping you or not. And if they're not, you need to kind of domesticate them or move them to the side and get on with the job. Because repressing of the emotions doesn't work. It just means that that's been my experience, it comes out in other ways. So it's a bit like that meditative technique of just understanding what's coming up and recognizing it.
Yeah, it's great that I think he's used a really clever word there, domestication, because it's not controlling, because there is no controlling of the emotions. And what it implies is it's something through conditioning. It's something through the repetitive nature. It's something through iteration that gets developed over time. So there's, for example, mindfulness, right? The idea of the meditation of mindfulness isn't just the fact of sitting there for, 5, 10, 20 minutes a day. The idea is transitioning that mindfulness into daily happenings. And that only happens through domestication of it. And so that could be a step in the domestication of one's emotions is that incorporation from the mindfulness practice into the daily life. And then the other bit is the actual encountering situations, encountering particular circumstances that give rise to some of those emotions. Because the only way that you're going to ever see those emotions is by coming face to face with them. And obviously realizing that they're still there in the pen.
Yeah, it's not easy. So the three.
And so I was going to say, mate. What are some big obstacles that you've come across or that you've faced? Anything that comes to mind that really springs to mind?
Well, I suppose everyone's got a lot of obstacles in their life, I guess. But probably from a work perspective, I think it would be just running a business throws up all sorts of crazy things that happen. It really ups the volatility on your day-to-day, and it ups your, I suppose, sensitivity to that too, because you're actually dealing with your own livelihood. It's not some multinational's money or reputation or that sort of thing. It's you, And so over the last 5 years, it's been a real roller coaster trying to learn how to manage unpredictability and when obstacles put up. And I think the next part of the discussion we're going to have around action has really helped me, as well as the last section about the perception of problems. And that's why this book resonates with me and why I keep reading it, is that I wasn't able to deal with this stuff well in the early days. I really struggled to kind of domesticate my emotions when it came to these sort of issues, and it was causing me a lot of anxiety. So this approach really works for me, and I guess that's, again, why I keep coming back to the book.
That's how it makes it onto the read annual list.
Yeah. What about you?
At the moment, one that really comes to mind is me trying to move out of the corporate life, and I looked at this in a slightly different way. Obviously, as part of going through this, there's all the questions like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? you're going backwards, or all of those questionings, or just the funny looks that you might receive.
So, do you think those are somewhat perceived, or are they explicit? Are people genuinely saying that to you?
Some are genuinely explicit, and I think some are are probably interpretation on my end, which in itself is not good.
I think it's pretty natural, though.
Yeah, certainly. But what do you think?
I got one more question for you. What do you think that means when they say that, though? Does it?
I think sometimes it's just genuine. Want to make sure that everything's going to be okay.
Sure.
And seeing that things might be going okay, and make sure that it's not a rash decision. And that there's more things going on. But I think the other part is quite often it's a case of, hey, hang on, I didn't want to go and do that. I was too concerned, or I've now made the obstacles around myself too large to try and scale, or trying to deal with, that I don't want to face. So come back here. And so that to me has probably been a recent obstacle to deal with. And part of me reframing that up for myself was thinking about how the obstacle itself might continue to grow the longer you live it. And so that was just one.
That's interesting.
That was just one way of approaching it, and trying to make the leap.
That's awesome. It's hard to cut your own path.